Hello, found footage fans, and welcome to We Found a Tape. We're a podcast dedicated to all things found footage. Shaky cams, paranormal sightings, and everything with an authentic edge to make it all feel real. My name's John,
And I'm David.
and join us as we hit play and uncover what lies beyond the tape. Welcome everyone to another episode of We Found a Tape, and today we're talking about a found footage film that we've actually been asked a few times to speak about, and it almost won our viewers' choice. It was a close second. David, fudged the numbers, but that's beside the point. But today on this episode, we're talking about The Sacrament from 2013.
Yeah.
My first statement is, wow. I did not expect to see Ty West doing a found footage style movie. That was not on my bucket list. And I loved this movie.
Yeah, there was a hard scene or two in there to watch.
Oh yeah, there was a few, most definitely a few hard scenes to really digest, and I mean it is based on like true events. Realistically, it's sort of monikered after the Jonestown massacre. He was like a leader of like a commune. He moved out to some like South American country. To live off the land, and they ultimately all died by the Kool-Aid, and that's where the phrase, drink the Kool-Aid comes from.
Kool-Aid. Yeah. Maybe I'm getting it confused with another, because it's been I probably haven't seen it since 2016, 2017, because it came out in 2014. But why did I think this guy was played by John Goodman? Am I getting it confused with a different movie?
I think he just looks a lot like John Goodman. When I first found out about this, like seeing sort of screenshots, like if you look at it, like when he's got his glasses on and you're not really paying attention, he looks a lot like John Goodman. I can definitely see it.
Kind of like a Big Lebowski, John Goodman, kind of in a way, because of the glasses.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think of it like that. Yeah, that's like that's a good one. John Goodman he's looking good, man.
Yeah, he's looking good. As soon as this dude popped out, I was like, wait a minute, this ain't fucking John Goodman. This is not how I remembered it. It was kind of like watching, like, Digging Up the Marrow again, where you remembered some scenes very differently, or there was more to it, and it's weird how the brain works, and it like creates these things in your mind when you watched them so many years ago or so long ago, and then you come back to it and it's like, this is not how things went, or this is not the person that I expected to see. I don't know, the brain's just weird, man.
Yeah, totally. It's there is a term for that, Mandela. I think it's the Mandela effect, where your brain either through like mass hysteria, like you've been convinced that it's one thing when it's actually another, just by a lot of people basing their facts off of, like, my friend or my uncle or my friend's uncle's grandfather said it's this, and therefore you sort of take it as face value. I think that's what Mandela effect is, but I think it's like that. There's definitely a few films that I remember things much differently, and I also think as well, when it comes to that, your sort of perception at the time, based on either what you know, where you're at in your life, what age you are, definitely you appreciate things at different stages in your life, and sometimes you can appreciate something when you're much younger, or it's the first time seeing it. It has that charm that it sticks with you, and then rewatching it again, it can cause kind of not a negative impact on it, but you see it differently. And
Yeah.
I definitely feel like that with a good amount of films, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one came out 2013. It was written and directed by Ty West, and it's about an hour and 39 minutes long. I own it on DVD, but I also watched it on Tubi when I was just familiarizing myself with it. And dude, this was an intense one for sure.
Being that you own the DVD, is there any like alternate scene endings, any bonus features that I might have missed out on?
Great question. I actually didn't check. I think when I initially watched it, it was just that. I don't some DVDs, they don't have a lot of special features. So it could well be one where it doesn't have a lot. There might be some deleted scenes. I don't know. I'd have to check. But yeah, I'll definitely look and I'll let you know.
A lot of disturbing things. A lot of brainwashing going on. A lot of manipulation. A lot of taking over people's weaknesses, and using that and extorting them. A lot of scary shit, dude. There's a lot of scary shit in this movie. It's amazing how one person can, with the right words, take hold of you, turn your whole world upside down, make you believe in something so much, and then, you believe in it so much that you're willing to do anything for it, and this happens.
Yeah, yeah. That's really a huge theme throughout of faith. Really, is faith in religion, faith in a higher being, a higher power, faith in just a man to take you to that exponential higher place. Like a lot of these people sort of saw him as a prophet, and with Jones, a lot of people saw him as like a prophet of God. Like I think they all sort of start with that honest to goodness type of mentality of I really want to do this for good, and then things like wealth and power really can corrupt the mind, and I think that's obviously what's happened here. Paranoia is another huge key theme throughout this movie. The paranoia from all the people that are in the commune, the paranoia from Father, who is just throughout just preaching a lot. He's always preaching, and I think when it comes to people that do follow religion, which if you do, I mean that's your belief system. I'm not gonna shit on it or anything like that. But when you have a belief and you follow it, like you in some occasions you'll follow it blindly, and you'll get devoted to it. And I think that's kind of what a lot of these people were at. They were either at certain points of their life where they were going through the grieving process. Like one of the women there, she mentions her husband died, and that's kind of, she didn't have anything else to live for in the real world type thing. So that's what made her take that leap of faith. And yeah, so it's definitely a common theme throughout.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, before we get too far into this and start picking the movie apart, let's hit him with that synopsis real quick.
Hell yeah. The Sacrament from 2013. A Vice documentary crew goes to visit one of their crew members' sisters after she's joined a commune. They find out the true reality that comes in Eden Parish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eden Parish. Kind of just gives you chills, just kind of like saying it out loud. Eden Parish.
Yeah, it does have that. And I thought it was cool that the fact that they use Vice as as like the main sort of crew, the news that they're going through, that sort of grounds it in reality, because Vice is real, or was real. I don't know if Vice is still technically around, but I know at the time they were definitely around, and they go through the guise of being documentary film crew from Vice. One of them has a sister who they find out is part of this commune, and she's invited her brother to go and visit. and he decides to bring his colleagues with him to document the process, and that starts this whole tense, affair at the Eden Parish commune.
And I noticed in the letter too that it talks that she went to like this community for sober living because she was an addict, right?
Right.
It started there, and then later on, the whole community just up and moved, to this bigger community that's out, in a remote location that, she didn't even give, the exact location of it. It was just a phone number. You call me, talk to me, or talk to whoever, and figure out, where you're going. You'll get coordinates or whatever the case may be. That right there was a red flag for me, right from the get go, right? Like, you're not going to tell me where you are. You're just like, here's a phone number. Call me when you're on your way. And it's like, no, I want to know where I'm going, because I want to know where I'm at and how I'm going to get the fuck out of there.
Really? Yeah, and with that, like, they ultimately take a helicopter there, and then the helicopter leaves, and it basically comes back in like a week or like a few days. I can't remember how long it is. Maybe a few days.
It was a 24-hour trip. They said they'd be
was?
back the next day by 8 in the morning. Yeah.
Gotcha. Damn. Yeah. Well.
So, but it felt like a week, right? Like the whole thing felt like it was over a week period, and it was just a 24. It was crazy how all that unfolded in 24 hours. So yeah, but it did feel like a week.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe just because it was all like, most of it's in the daytime, and then there's like the nighttime and then the next morning. So I guess, yeah, it probably was like an overnight type thing. That's a long way to travel for an overnighter.
Yeah, but it's still like, it feels like that because, when they got there, they took the journey to get there, right? They got to the helicopter landing spot, and that alone felt like that was a day trip, right? Like, because they were going to wherever they were going. So that felt like a day. And then when they got to where they're getting to, they're greeted by the guys with the guns, not letting them in. The brothers trying to like say, "Hey, I'm here for my sister. She's so and so." They won't let them pass beyond the gate. She had to come and, say, "Hey, this is okay." And, eventually they get let into the Eden Parish. But yeah, that alone felt like a whole day trip.
It did. One of the things I also noted as well, and one part I actually really enjoyed about the film, was the kind of legitimacy of it being like a documentary. They had like an intense like Vice documentary intro for it, of the music and all that, and like their trip, like getting there, like all the travel in between to get there. So I think all in it probably was a few days of like intense travel to get to where they were, and then the overnight, and then the travel back. So that's probably what made it feel longer.
So yeah, well. I mean, collectively the trip, yeah, very well could have been days or even a week. Yeah. Just getting there, but everything unfolded within a 24-hour period. But yeah, they got there, they got in. They get a brief look of what everything looks like. It looks like, like a ranch or a farm. You know what I mean? Right. Yeah. Like, you get in, people have built these huts. There's pavilions. Everybody's farming. They're doing day-to-day stuff that people would do on a farm or a ranch. Anything from like washing clothes to cooking, things like that. And I mean, everybody's doing something. Nobody's just like standing around twiddling their thumbs. Everybody's into something.
Pretty much, yeah. Kind of reminds you of the one movie that stands out to me is like in Midsummer, where they're all like, the commune there is all doing their part. Everyone's got a job to do, and everyone's doing it all at once. So that, although it's kind of different, but like it's still a cultish commune type thing. It's very much a commune type thing to do, I guess, is to live in huts and do day-to-day jobs.
Yeah, I can't see that example. I tried to watch Midsummer twice, and I fell asleep within 15 minutes both times.
That's right.
But to be fair on that, I'm sure a lot of people will say, "Oh, it's such a good movie," but I put it on as one of those movies that you're going to bed at the end of the night and you're already half dead asleep. So never gave it a real shot. But one of these days, I promise, I will watch it and see it through.
Yeah. Another thing that absolutely love is the fact that it's got a good amount of the cast from You're Next. The main guy is Sam, who's played by AJ Bowen. He's like the main brother in You're Next. That's the boyfriend of Sharni Vincent, who's the like the wilderness Australian girl. She's in You're Next. He's in that, and then his brother is played by Joe Swanberg, who is in this as well. He's his brother in You're Next, the one that he stabs and shit.
I don't
I
think
love
I've seen
that.
your next.
Oh, Your Next is incredible, David. I think you'd love it. If you have not seen it, you need to check it out.
And I feel like I've come across it somewhere, maybe Tubi or Shutter or something like that. It's one of those movies that I see passively, but I've never gotten into it. But yeah,
Oh yeah.
I'd give it a go.
No, you need to. It's incredible, man. I'm not gonna say anymore. Just watch it. But
All
it's
right.
Ty West and a few different people. They all sort of collectively work together, um, and they all sort of circulate the same sort of cast, which I think is really cool. Joe Swanberg was also part of VHS, the original VHS. It all came from that sort of crew, Ty West and all that. They all worked together to create the VHS movies, at least the first anthology of it. So I mean, they're already sort of part of the pioneers of that sort of franchise, right? Which is
Right.
it's now, as we saw recently, they've announced VHS Halloween, which is going to be awesome. So
I feel like we're going to get eventually, and not that I'm complaining because I love all the VHS movies in their own ways, but I feel like eventually we're going to get to like VHS, Galaxy or something like that, or VHS Christmas or
I
something
mean,
crazy. We're gonna be down the line, the 15th or 16th installment of VHS, which I'm totally down for. But I mean, I'm just waiting to see where they go next after Halloween.
I hope they do like one of those like box sets. Like I don't know if you've ever seen like the Nightmare on Elm Street one, and it's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Freddy Krueger and he's got his arm out.
right.
I hope they do like a box set kind of like that of all the VHS. That'd be sick.
That would be awesome.
Hell yeah. But yeah, there. Joe Swanberg was involved in that. He plays Jake, who's like the main sort of cameraman that follows him around. And then we also have Patrick, who is the brother of I think it's Caroline. Is his
Caroline.
sister's name? Who they go to visit, and yeah, like I think to begin with, when they get there and start going through the little commune area, that's where they start to meet with the locals. They capture names and ages, and that's where they start to learn more and more about Eden Parish. And the more and more you learn, the more the subtlety of there's actually something going on here. It kind of starts to poke through when they meet the mother and the daughter. The daughter's mute. They try and get speak to her, and they're like, "No, we're not allowed to talk about Eden. We're not allowed to talk about it. Father doesn't let us talk about it." And they're like, "Whoa, okay, that's weird." And
That there was like little subtle like concerns along the way, and
definitely,
aside from that, they were able to talk to that one old lady that was doing like some farm work. But as far as she was, as far as she goes, everything was great. Everything was, wonderful there. She enjoyed the living. Um, the other thing was they interviewed this guy randomly inside of their hut, and he was talking about, although this is a great place, medically, it's not adequate because it's not a full-on hospital. It's just like a little shack with, a couple hospital beds, some medical equipment, stuff like that. So I mean,
right.
it's not adequate as far as proper medical care, but as far as like basic medical care, it's fine. But yeah, so there was an honest review about that. Their concern with it.
Yeah, that would really be the tough part, especially if you're like closed off from society to the point where you have like a paranoia or a mistrust of people that are in the outside world. um that makes it really difficult. I think with that they ultimately like buy supplies and have them shipped in. I think is kind of what they ended up doing. And I mean
Well,
basically,
yeah, and I think they were even interviewing the nurse, and she said that they came with a lot of that stuff too. Like
true, yeah.
they came with a lot of that stuff. So it's like they prepared a lot of things before they came and started building everything. But it would have been interesting to see like some backstory as far as the building in the early stages of it, to see what kind of struggles there were in the process.
For sure. And I think after that is where it starts to take a bit of a turn in terms of where the crew actually they start to almost get charmed by Father.
Yes.
Um, they are able to get a sit down interview, and he ultimately sits down in front of the entire parish, the entire commune, and that's where they speak to him. He speaks very clearly, very calmly, and to the point, and he's always looking around at people and just controlling the room. He's very much people, and I think from the actor that played him, it was incredibly genuine. Like he felt like a commune leader. It was very
Yeah.
believable. And it's that can be quite rare in found footage for it to feel believable. If you didn't know that the crew were actually actors and they had been in movies and things, I mean, who's to say that wasn't real, right? It definitely felt it, and his performance as Father was incredibly real to me.
Yeah, I agree with that. It really sold you. It almost felt like you were the actual camera crew and the guy interviewing, and you were getting charmed at the same time, because it was he had an aura to him, right? Like, even though as an actor he played that aura role very well. There was a way that, every time the interviewer was asking questions, automatically he had words to twist it to,
Right.
being the victim instead of, answering the question. This is why society is this way, or this is why we're attacked for wanting to be a peaceful society. And you can call us, you can call me a communist or whatever you want, but I'm here to help these people. Always with, I'm here to help, I'm here to show them the way, I'm here to, God put us on this path. It's very heavy religion, very choice words, but powerful words to um, to relay the message that he's relaying. And I think that, like you said, he's looking at everybody while he's saying this and enchanting them to reiterate, this is what I told you, this is what we're doing. And everybody's just eating out of the palm of his hand. And even the guys are so mesmerized. You can tell it in the interview's face that he's just so mesmerized by what this guy is saying that it's crazy.
Yeah, it really is the charisma really comes through, and then there's a lot of different, like you said, like he's sort of avoiding questions and deflecting and doing a very good job of it. They saw it, they could see right through it. And he almost intimidates them. Like, I remember there's a part where Sam mentions that he was like getting flustered at one point, and he's like, that's never happened to me before. And
Yeah.
like it goes to show the power that this guy has, not only on the commune but like just in general. He's someone that commands the attention of the room, and I think that performance particularly definitely did that. I think he's a major component of the entire film and the belief of it.
I think where he really caught him off guard was where he noticed right off the bat the wedding ring, started asking about, are you married, about his wife, and then out of nowhere started talking about his unborn child, that that he he brought them up to the point where it spooked him, and he kind of almost got defensive about it, and he kind of tried to calm him down at the same time by saying, hey, now you know how it feels when you come at somebody like this, and when the script is flipped at you, basically, and this is how it feels. So he's at the same time he's trying to show him how he's feeling, and by digging into something very personal that matters to him, and he's trying to say that this community, this place matters to him in the same way that his wife and unborn child would mean to him.
Right.
Just to kind of put him on the same playing field.
Exactly. So it's almost like he's taking that control. He's owning the room and really taking that into account. So, but yeah, it really, like, at that moment in time, because they go off, like they start to sing like church music, and like they really like they start to have like a party almost, and everyone's having a great time, and it feels like one of those, like,
feels like a Kool-Aid party.
yeah, it does. It definitely feels that way. The comparisons, obviously, to the the Jonestown is apparent. It's clear as day. That's a huge source for this. But it's at that point when things really start to take a turn, because Patrick, who they came with, he sort of goes missing, and
yes, yeah,
and they keep running into his sister, and everyone's just deflecting, like the higher ups particularly, rather than the sort of commune members. It's the higher ups, like father and the sister. She's clearly someone who's like a confidant of his. A few others, some of the armed guards, like they all they know the true meaning behind it, and the true purpose of the trip itself that's happened here. They see a divine picture in all of this that no one else really sees, and they're trying to control the situation, just like the interview with Father, really just controlling the situation in and around the commune. It's all smoke and mirrors type thing. Oh, here's everyone, singing, dancing, smiling, having a great time. But at the same time, there's something under that surface that is not quite right, and that's when they start to really notice that. They start to find things like the box full of passports, and the control room that they have, where the armed guards and things like that, and like you start to see things like the plans and all the maps and things like that in the little control room area, and that's where they encounter the sister, who is like drunk. I'm pretty sure she's like drunk or something, and the whole purpose of her finding this commune was that she went to like a sober living.
Right.
He's like, that's not very Christian, or it's not very like it's not very Christian.
Yeah,
he drinking and stuff like that.
Yeah, the Christian comment was more towards the brother, because they went
Oh
looking
wait,
for him.
yeah. That's right.
She goes, why introduced him to this person and that person, and they were so excited to meet him. So he's actually not here right now. He's with them, and he goes, your brother's at a threesome. That's not very Christian. And she goes,
right.
well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of sinning so long as Father approves. And it's kind of like, essentially he's God to them. So whatever, ultimately, despite the outlines of what God says, he's God. So he has the right to say, but we can have a threesome, or we can do a little bit of drugs, here and there, things like that. So it's very controlling. And this girl is, because she's the right hand man essentially to him, she's very much involved in it. And I think because whether it was alcohol or drugs that she was addicted to, it's very much a tool in her life when it comes to this, and him controlling her. So it made me think, like, how he controlled her, like, letting her feed into her addiction. But was she essentially taking care of him to the point where it was, sexual abuse, things like that. They never really hinted at things like that, but it kind of had the essence of, this girl was willing to do anything and everything this guy wanted, whether it was something sexual, whether it was to carry out an order, anything. Like she was there at his beck and call for anything and everything.
That's a really good point. It definitely comes across that way. Um, Even as well when like they see father in the background, he like opens the door and he calls to her to come, and like she needs to come and help him like get ready for bed or something like that. That has that undertone as well, that there is something more sinister actually happening with it at a
Right.
higher level, and again with that money, power, sort of control, comes those things like they can slip into these sort of vices that would normally be considered sins, that they can hide behind this religion or religious aspect to say, oh well, it's okay, like I am almost like a prophet, almost like I am a prophet, it's okay, like you'll be pardoned in heaven or something like they really they really prey on those fears of people and prey on their vices, like of her and her potentially drugs or alcohol. Like she's still being fed that, and it's playing into the control aspect.
Right, right, absolutely. And then, kind of while this is going on, that little girl is playing her role to try and get help, because she's not a talkative person. She's basically a mute because you find out, she goes and taps on their door where they're trying to pack up all their shit because they know something's going on at this point and they're trying to get ready to go. And she bangs on their door. They come out to try and see what's going on. They find this little girl around the corner. They follow her through the hanging sheets to find a group of people there, a group of women that essentially are asking for help, that they need to leave this place. It's not what it seems. And we finally get down to there really is something going on, but we're just now getting into it. So um, the that part is already starting to get them even more scared because there's things that are going on. They abuse the child because for whatever reason, and now that's why she doesn't talk anymore. A lot of scary things are starting to spill out here, and they're just essentially wanting to leave. So you know here come the two guys with the guns, and everybody disperses. The little girl's there still, and they're all, we'll take her back to the thing, don't even worry about it. So they take the little girl back, and they kind of just go back to their cabin. But it's very weird because now that it's going quiet, there's an announcement coming out for everybody to go to bed. It's time for everybody to go to bed. Everybody's going to their cabins. It cuts to them in the middle of the night, looking at what's going on at the pavilion. There's a select group of people meeting there, preparing something, working on something, and it's creeping them out even more because they can't sleep with all the noise outside. This is going on, and there's just a lot of things, like you said, going on in the background. And this party, this happiness, this zen that's going on in the community is just feeding on people past abuses, misfortunes in life, addictions, and it's just holding them there for that happiness to distract them from what's really going on around the outside of it.
Yeah, it's really, and the tension really starts to build here. Like this is the point where you see like a real shift in attitude, a real shift in their sort of, the screen or the veil has been lifted, and they're now starting to
Right.
see it for what it really is. And I mean, for me, that would be terrifying. I know that even just going there would be fucking scary, but um, finding that out and realizing there's something not quite right is, and you're kind of helpless to it.
Right.
Like that is, to me, would be a very tough thing to experience for sure.
Yeah, and then it doesn't help when you were brought in through a gate to two guardsmen with guns, and then essentially you can't escape right away because you're going to be met with that same, hostility on the way in, on the way out. So essentially you're trapped there until it's time to leave, and that you're supposed to leave at a set time, and that's your only escape. So essentially you're stuck there until it's time to go, and that's what we're leading up to. Going into the next morning, you're starting to see people outside, you know, at the pavilion, and you can just see there's people standing out there, not much from a distance, what's going on, until they get to the pavilion, and there's people arguing and screaming and crying and things like that. Well, now that these people have arrived from the outside, there's people there that can see, the ones that want to leave, that there's real help and they want to go because they don't want to be here anymore, because they have seen what's really going on underneath and they don't feel safe there, but they're stuck there to get out of this place. And it's scary, man, because the fear that people, and you're stuck there, you can't go anywhere. And it's almost like being in an abusive relationship where you're essentially held down by a thumb and you can't get out or go anywhere. There's nowhere to go.
That is the perfect way of describing it. It really is like that. You know, finding out that people are being abused and taken advantage of, and really put in a scenario where they were told it would be one thing and it ultimately ended up the other. Going there with such limited resources to be able to not take people back must also be an incredibly painful thing to do. Like, it's a small crew, it's a small aircraft, and ultimately people think that they're able to just all leave, and that's what starts to really cause panic within the people, because they are now unable to leave. Like, and they've been outed as they want to leave, puts them in a very negative position, and that fear and paranoia really comes to fruition, because now is when we find out the real divine plan for the commune is that they are ultimately gonna take their own lives, or they're going to be forced to take their own lives, and by drinking cyanide-laced Kool-Aid. Some of them are very hardcore believers, a lot of them, and this is really where it's just heart-wrenching. Like, this last sort of third of the movie, or quarter of the movie, it's just so heart-wrenching, because the amount of like the children who are being, you know, fed this Kool-Aid while they're mixing it, they're pouring it all into the thing. They have syringes with it for the children, and they're being forced to take it. People are being forced to take it through a drink. If they're not, then they're shot. They basically just are clearing house of everyone that's in the commune, and it's just absolutely heart-wrenching, like, seeing all of this, and like the portrayal of that is just so intense.
The hard part for me to watch was this guy trying to assure everybody that this is the way that we go, right? Because there's nothing left. We're essentially been exposed, and nothing good is going to come of this. So it's just easier to appreciate the time we had, and it's time to go. But what was hard to watch was, right off the bat, he said most of the children have been given the medicine already, which would loop in a lot of those parents, because your child's already on their way out. Where else is there for me to go but out to go with that child? So they've suckered in parents that way. The other one was the syringe, right? And the medical doctor came with the syringe and was feeding it to a newborn baby, and that was hard to watch, because that was a child that hasn't even spoken their first words yet, to even be aware of what life is, or the concept of what, you know, an orange is, a piece of fruit, or, you know, what a laugh is, a smile, anything like that. This child has not even experienced or learned any of that, and they're essentially being killed here because it's everybody's going, it's all or none. And that was super hard to watch, because the children were the first line of attack to sucker in the parents. And then, of course, you had your hardcore believers, like you said, that were just willing to take it. And then you had like the family that came from a 2-bedroom household. It was 5 of them, and one of the brothers was like, this is not what we're supposed to do, we were supposed to live here happily. And he just had the right words to twist it and convince him to drink that cup of Kool-Aid. So I mean, it's a lot of emotions going on, none of them good, and it's just super hard to watch, man.
It really is. At that point, they take the camera from them. They start to take them captive. Jake, I think he runs away, and he's able to get to the helicopter and get the guy. He's then shot in the arm, and then comes the real found footage tropes where he's running through the forest and he's hiding under, hiding in trees, and at one point, he's like hiding out of sight, and the guys are coming looking for him through the woods with all the guns, and like, this big shootout happens, and it's like just crazy action. And the found footage tropes of sort of speaking into the camera and talking about having like a sort of crisis type scenario, like I may die here, so it's that sort of last moment of like, if this ever gets found, like please like give it to my family so that I can give them really that sort of last desperation. That is definitely the found footage tropes that were coming through. But
and I like how, and to add to that, I also like the other side of the camera, or the other camera view, because they attacked the cameraman, right, which was the brother that was still there, and the interviewer guy. They got attacked, and they cut out and go back to the guy at the helicopter. But I liked how he told the sister to pick up the camera, to essentially continue the movie and still keep it from a found footage perspective, because it could have just easily turned into a film and you're just watching it from a film viewer's perspective. But they kept it as a found footage to where, hey, pick up that camera and let's continue doing this. Let's continue to document this as father told her to. And she picked it up, and that's where that continued. So I like that part too, to add to that.
Yeah, though that was done very well. It then helped to convey the story. Like, it definitely, again, that found footage trope of like, don't stop filming. Like, it's clearly like the divine plan of father, especially when he heard that the brother was coming, and with the film crew there, like they could actually actively document this. And they can like show the world, like, we cannot be stopped. Like, we're fulfilling our divine purpose type thing.
Right.
That's kind of how it came across to me, anyway. But with that, then for me, leads to one of the most like gut wrenching scenes in the whole film, and it's when she fucking drugs the brother with the cyanide in the syringe. He's like tied to a chair. They've clearly been keeping him sort of either drugged or captive of some sort. I don't know what, but because you never see Patrick after he sort of meets the sister. They just sort of go off, and you never really see him until this point, and he's in the office, and she jags him, and the fear that's in his voice as he's like the panic and fear, he like goes up through all the motions, and just that intense, like, it's such a long scene where it's showing you this, and he's just like his breath is starting to slow, and he's starting to like not move as much, and he's starting to like convulse, and it was just so well done from an acting perspective, but so intense and so heartbreaking at the same time to see that she literally killed her own brother. She's got him out there under the guise of, coming to visit and, show off her new home, when really the main sort of reason was she was trying to get money from her parents to help fund this. And when that wasn't a reality, she just took him out, and the fear that's in him, he's like, I don't want to die. Like, I don't want to die. She's holding him close to her, like, oh man, I couldn't. I don't know how, like, I don't know how brainwash would have to get someone to kill their literal flesh and blood like that.
Yeah, it'd have to be pretty bad, man, because this dude had a hold on people, and I think even her at the most, because she was his assistant, you know, so
Right.
she had the tightest hold as far as, you know, willing to do anything and everything for him to see this plan come to life that he sold everybody on.
Exactly.
But yeah, but it was crazy, man. And then she set her and him on fire afterwards.
Yeah, she sets herself on fire, and yeah, just crazy. They try and like get to her, and like it's just that whole like last section of the movie is full of just so much like pain and suffering, and like also relief at the same time, because you know, we see as well when they're going through, when Jake comes back, he's coming to basically save everyone and get them to the plane. He goes and he's sort of sneaking around through the huts, and that's when he finds the mute girl and her mum, and she fucking slits the kid's throat, and then the guy comes in and shoots her.
Yeah, that was a hard one for me to watch, because I'm not a parent, but I can put myself in their shoes for that moment and realize, when you love your child the way that you do, and you're backed into a corner like that, the only thing to do, you know, there is to cover your child's eyes and take them before somebody else takes them. And that's what she did. And in that moment, you know, it happened. That guy walked in and shot the mother in the head, and you know, they both went. Yeah, I think he actually shot the kid too, but you know, the deed was already done by the mother, you know, saving her child by from all this fear, by covering her eyes and slitting the throat so she wouldn't see what she was going to do, but also not see, you know, this guy that was coming in to kill them. And that's hard to watch. I can only imagine, you know, for parents that actually have children, small children, or that love their children, to see what that's like. And it puts a fear in me, and I'm not even a parent, you know.
Yeah, it's just like that. That's just that sequence, man. Like, there's just so much back to back. It's just so tense. You're on the edge of their seat, and like, you just can't stop paying attention at that point. And when they find father, who gives sort of almost like one last sermon type thing, he just sort of gives his speech, and then he just pulls out a pistol, and you know.
Did you notice there that he snorted a little something before he went?
I did, yeah, actually, yeah. That's a good point. I did notice. So yeah, he clearly was like, and I think as well, I don't know a lot about the Jonestown situation. I've seen some documentaries, but like a while ago, so I don't know the specifics of it, but I'm fairly certain that he would do things like that.
And it's kind of weird if you were to stop and look at that scene and analyze the area. I don't know if it just him, that he was on drugs all the time, or he actually had some kind of mental health that he was taking medication for. But he was sitting right next to a bunch of bottles of pills. So I mean, there was something there that would tell you that either, you know, he was on a lot of drugs, or he was just on a lot of mental health medication, or something was going on there. That's what I noticed, you know, while he's giving his last little sermon or speech before he ultimately, you know, puts the gun in his mouth and pulls the trigger. But yeah, I mean, this guy was really out there, man. He was genuinely crazy. I don't even think there's a word crazier than crazy to describe him, because I don't know, man. This movie was, and it's not the tone I wanted to go for this episode, but there's a lot of shit here that did not go good, and really pulls at your heartstrings in the worst ways possible. Whether you're a parent, a person that's gone through tragedies and has been used or manipulated. There's a lot of that in this movie, and it's crazy, man.
It really is, and that sort of cycle of abuse is definitely a common theme throughout the entire thing, and it's done so well. Like I said at the start, it really to me felt like a real documentary, and even at the credits, like the end credits of the movie, after they've escaped, and it then shows that this is the footage that they were able to take, like they were the only two survivors, and it shows you like a compilation of different photographs, and it's to add to that legitimacy that this was a proper documentary. Like the attention to detail throughout was just insane and just absolutely superb, and
Yeah.
it really just adds to that sort of charm to it. Although it's a very hard, there's a lot of hard subject matter and themes throughout this. I think in terms of a film, like it's almost like a must watch. I think.
Yeah. It's a very must watch if you want to be shocked in the worst ways possible. If you want your emotions to be taken in this movie and twisted around and almost feel like you're part of the movie for a good bit, because the words that are spoken from this guy that has all this energy and aura to him really brings you in and makes you feel like you're a part of the community at bits and pieces of this movie. So it's crazy, man. This is a crazy movie to watch.
Hell yeah. On that, one thing I did look up is some trivia about the film, and I think a
Okay.
lot of them are quite interesting that I did not know after this. So some trivia about the film, and so Gene Jones is the guy who plays father, right? He apparently nailed the interview scene where they sit down and interview him in front of the commune. That was filmed in one single 17-minute take.
Really?
So that was all filmed in one take.
That is
Or
phenomenal,
it may,
dude.
it may not be like one take, but got it in a single take at least. Which was pretty insane, because that's definitely one of the key turning points of the film. The film was shot in chronological order. 30 minutes of background information was ultimately cut from the movie. So this was a cool one that I really dug. It was apparently 2 retired members of the Harlem Globetrotters played background roles in this.
I wonder if it was the guys with the guns.
I think so, but one thing that was quite a jump in the movie was the basketball scene, like with
Oh,
having
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
basketball and all that, like with like the young guys that are there. So
Right, right.
that's funny because it's Harlem Globetrotters, so they were probably doing that as well, like basketball stuff, and I think maybe like either people who are part of the commune or part of the like the guards or whatever. But I'm pretty sure there's one like big tall one for sure that looks like a
Interesting.
basketball player. But yeah, they're
Wow. Okay.
retired
Okay.
Harlem Globetrotters. But yeah, that's some pretty cool trivia to round out the
Yeah.
discussion.
Absolutely.
Let's end on a high note, because
Right. Right.
it got pretty dark in that film.
Well, we can end in a little bit higher note because I think it's time to rate this movie.
Absolutely. David, would you like to give the honors?
Yes. So for me personally, the hard parts don't necessarily degrade the score, but in a way it does for me personally, because those are hard things to see, and it pulled at you emotionally, things like that. So I would give it. I don't want to give it a golden tape because this was a magnificent movie to film, but I would give it a solid 5 tapes.
Nice. Yeah, I know what you mean. I think it's from a subject matter perspective, there's definitely a lot of deep stuff there.
Right.
The legitimacy of Vice for me was a huge point. It really grounded it in realism, and that's great for a found footage. The entertainment aspect, because it was a documentary, that's where particular things like there was music, there was like tense music and a score to it, and then there was some other music in it where they're doing travelling montage. I think that adds to it. It makes it a bit more entertaining, and I think it still stays within the rules of found footage. It came from like someone that really appreciated found footage in a way. I think I might have to give it a golden tape.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, looks like we've got a fiver and a golden tape. So, yeah, let us know. Let us know your thoughts on the Sacrament. Thank you very much for listening. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and check us out on Spotify, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, as well as YouTube. And David?
Thank you, everybody, again, as John mentioned, for listening to this episode. This one was emotionally a hard one to do here. So as just a general reminder, be sure to say I love you to your loved ones. Enjoy your weekend. Don't forget, be kind, rewind. We'll see you on the next one.